Take a moment now, just breathe, and allow yourself to settle into this quiet space. Feel the softness beneath you, whether it's your pillow, your blanket, or simply the gentle support of wherever you're resting tonight. Let your shoulders drop, just a little, and notice how your body naturally wants to release the day's tension. The air around you is calm, peaceful, and you can almost feel a gentle warmth surrounding you like the softest embrace. Take another breath, deeper this time, and as you exhale, imagine that you're releasing any worries, any hurried thoughts, any remnants of the busy day that no longer serve you. You are safe here. You are welcomed here. And in this sacred quiet, you are perfectly where you need to be. Feel the gentle rhythm of your own heartbeat, steady, reassuring, like the most ancient lullaby. And notice how the very air seems to hold you, supporting you as you prepare to journey into a story of profound love and beautiful surrender. The evening light is fading now, somewhere beyond your closed eyelids, and you can sense that golden, honey-colored glow that comes just before night falls completely. It's warm, it's protective, and it wraps around you like the most cherished memory of being completely loved. Our story begins tonight, in a time when the world moved more slowly, when people gathered in simple homes with clay oil lamps flickering against stone walls, when acts of love were measured not in grand gestures, but in the quiet breaking open of precious things. Picture with me, if you will, a small house in ancient Palestine. The walls are warm limestone, worn smooth by countless hands, countless embraces against their surface. The floors are swept clean, scattered here and there with woven mats in deep blues and soft browns, colors like twilight, like earth after rain. There's a low table in the center of the room, wooden, simple, marked with the gentle scratches that come from years of shared meals, from bread broken in fellowship, from hands that have known both work and rest. Around this table, people are gathering as the sun sets, their faces soft in the amber lamplight, their voices are low and peaceful. You can almost hear the gentle murmur of conversation, not rushed, not urgent, just the warm exchange of people who have learned to treasure these moments of coming together. There's the soft rustle of robes as people settle, the gentle clink of simple pottery, the quiet comfort of those who know they belong. The air holds the lingering scent of fresh bread, warm olive oil, perhaps a hint of wood smoke from the small fire that's been keeping the evening chill at bay. And somewhere, barely noticeable at first, there's the soft whisper of sandaled feet on stone, approaching slowly, deliberately, with a kind of sacred intentionality. Now, let your mind's eye focus on a woman, moving through the golden shadows toward this gathering. She carries herself with quiet dignity, yet there's something vulnerable in her posture, something that speaks of a heart that has been deeply touched, perhaps even broken open by love. In her hands, cradled as carefully as you might hold the most fragile bird, she carries an alabaster jar. Feel the smoothness of it, cool against warm palms, carved from stone so pure it seems to glow with its own inner light. This jar, this vessel, represents everything precious she possesses. Inside this alabaster container rests perfume, not just any fragrance, but spikenard, rare, costly, imported from distant mountains where the air is thin and the plants grow wild and free. The scent is complex, earthy yet ethereal, rich yet somehow clean, like the smell of rain on ancient stones, like the breath of mountain meadows kissed by morning mist. This perfume, this treasure, represents more than luxury. It represents her security, her future, her safety net against an uncertain world. Yet tonight something stirs within her heart that makes such considerations seem small in comparison to the overwhelming desire to give, to honor, to express what cannot be spoken in words alone. Watch her now, as she moves closer to the gathering. Her steps are measured, not from hesitation, but from reverence. Each footfall is a prayer, each breath a meditation on the sacred act she is about to perform. The people notice her approach, conversations begin to fade, not out of rudeness, but because something in her presence commands a quiet attention. There's an energy about her, a luminous quality that speaks of someone who has encountered the divine and been forever changed by that meeting. She approaches the table, and there, reclining in the manner of honored guests, she sees him. The teacher. The one whose words have the power to heal the deepest wounds of the soul. The one whose presence brings peace to the troubled, hope to the despairing, love to the unloved. Their eyes meet, and in that moment, understanding passes between them without need for words. He sees her gift before it is given. He recognizes her intention before it is declared. And in his eyes, she sees not judgment, not surprise, but the most tender acceptance, the kind of recognition that one soul gives to another when sacred truth is about to unfold. The room has grown quieter now, as if even the oil lamps have stilled their flickering to witness what is about to occur. The other guests shift slightly, some curious, some perhaps uncomfortable with the intensity of this moment, but all somehow aware that they are about to witness something extraordinary. The woman kneels, slowly, gracefully, beside the teacher. The cool stone floor presses against her knees through the fabric of her simple garment, but she feels no discomfort. There is only this moment, only this offering, only this overwhelming need to express what her heart cannot contain. Her hands tremble, just slightly, as she lifts the alabaster jar. Feel the weight of it, substantial yet precious, like holding a piece of concentrated moonlight. The stone is smooth beneath her fingers, worked by skilled hands into perfect curves that catch and hold the warm lamplight. For just a moment, she pauses. This is her last chance to reconsider, to hold back, to keep this treasure for herself, for some future need, for the security it represents. But love, true love, has no patience for such practical calculations. And then, with a sound like the gentlest whisper, she breaks the seal. The alabaster cracks, not harshly, not violently, but with a soft, almost musical note that seems to hang in the air like a bell struck in a distant tower. The sealed jar gives way under her gentle but determined pressure, and immediately, the fragrance begins to escape. At first, it's just a whisper of scent, delicate, tentative, like the first hint of spring carried on a winter wind. But then, as she continues to break away the alabaster, as the opening widens, the perfume begins to pour forth with increasing richness. The spikenard fills the air, layer upon layer of complex, beautiful fragrance. There are notes of earth and sky, of distant mountains and hidden valleys, of flowers that bloom only in the most secret places. The scent seems to have depth, dimension, as if it carries within it the memory of every mountain rain, every sunrise, every moment of pristine beauty from the place where it was born. The room itself seems to exhale, as if it has been holding its breath, waiting for this moment of release. Every person present feels the fragrance wash over them, not just as a scent, but as a presence, a tangible expression of something too beautiful for words. Watch as the woman tilts the broken jar, and the precious oil begins to flow. It doesn't pour in a rush, no, it moves like liquid silver, like captured starlight, slow and deliberate and infinitely precious. Each drop seems to carry within it the essence of sacrifice, of love made manifest, of a heart that has chosen to hold nothing back. The perfume flows over his feet, warm, silken, spreading like a blessing across skin that has walked countless miles carrying messages of peace. And as it flows, something extraordinary happens. The fragrance doesn't simply remain where it falls. Instead, it begins to rise, to expand, to fill every corner of the room with its presence. Feel how the scent moves through the air, like gentle fingers touching each person present, like whispered prayers made fragrant, like love itself becoming something you can breathe, something you can taste, something that settles into your very soul. The other guests, some who had been eating, some who had been speaking in low voices, all become still. Their conversations fade into reverent silence. Even those who might have been inclined to criticism find themselves overwhelmed by the sheer beauty of this moment, by the power of such generous, unrestricted giving. And now, watch as the woman takes the broken pieces of alabaster in her hands. These fragments, once part of a sealed container, are now transformed. They glisten with the oil they once protected, catching the lamplight like precious gems, like pieces of a star that has willingly shattered itself to share its light. She uses these pieces, these beautiful remnants of what was once whole, to anoint his feet more completely. Her movements are gentle, reverent, like a sacred ritual performed by hands that understand they are touching the divine. The alabaster pieces become tools of blessing, transformed by their breaking into something even more precious than their original form. And then, in a gesture that speaks of humility beyond measure, she loosens her hair. In that time, in that culture, for a woman to loose her hair in public was unprecedented, vulnerable, a sign of either deep shame or extraordinary devotion. But there is no shame here, only love so complete that social conventions become meaningless in its presence. Her hair falls, dark and soft, like silk that has absorbed moonlight, and she begins to use these strands to gently dry his feet. Feel the intimacy of this action, not the intimacy of romance, but the intimacy of a soul that has recognized its home, its purpose, its highest calling. As her hair moves across skin made fragrant with precious oil, as she performs this act of profound service, something shifts in the very atmosphere of the room. The air becomes thicker with presence, not heavy, but rich, like breathing in sacred incense, like being wrapped in the visible prayer of angels. The fragrance continues to expand, beyond the room now, seeping through stone walls, drifting out into the evening air where it mingles with the scent of olive trees and the distant salt of the sea. People walking past the house pause, breathe deeper, and feel for a moment touched by something beautiful they cannot name. Inside, the teacher looks down at this woman, this giver, this heart that has chosen extravagant love over practical wisdom. In his eyes is such tenderness, such complete understanding, such absolute acceptance that it seems to radiate outward like warmth from a perfectly tended fire. He sees not waste, but worship. He sees not excess, but expression. He sees not the breaking of an expensive jar, but the opening of a priceless heart. And in seeing this, in witnessing this act of pure devotion, he honors not just her gift, but the spirit behind it. Some of the other guests begin to murmur, quietly at first, then with increasing concern. You can hear them, soft voices carrying notes of disapproval, of practical consideration, of questions about wisdom and propriety. Why this waste, they whisper. This perfume could have been sold, the money given to the poor, surely there were more practical ways to express devotion. But their voices seem to fade, not because they stop speaking, but because something greater fills the space their criticism might have occupied. The fragrance itself becomes an answer to their questions, a wordless testimony to the value of unrestricted love, a gentle but firm declaration that some gifts transcend practical calculation. The teacher's voice, when it comes, is soft but carries the authority of mountains, the certainty of stars in their courses. "Leave her alone," he says, and his words seem to settle over the room like blessed oil themselves. She has done a beautiful thing. Beautiful. Not practical. Not economical. Not socially appropriate. Beautiful. The word hangs in the perfumed air like a blessing, like a vindication of every generous impulse, like permission for love to express itself without reservation or apology. And in that word, in that simple declaration, something profound is established. The broken jar, the poured perfume, the loosened hair, the gentle wiping, all of it is declared not just acceptable, but beautiful. Sacred. Worthy. A reflection of divine love itself. The woman continues her gentle ministrations, unhurried now, no longer concerned with the opinions swirling around her. She has heard the only voice that matters declare her offering beautiful, and in that declaration, she finds perfect peace. Feel how the story settles into your own heart now, like fragrance absorbed into fabric, like warmth spreading through quiet waters. This act of extravagant love, this willingness to break what is precious in order to release what is even more precious, this speaks to something deep within the human soul. Perhaps you know what it feels like to hold something back, to calculate the cost of giving, to wonder if your offering will be understood, appreciated, deemed worthy. Perhaps you felt the tension between practical wisdom and generous love, between what makes sense and what makes beauty. This woman in our story, she teaches us something profound about the nature of true devotion. She shows us that sometimes the most sacred acts appear wasteful to watching eyes, that sometimes love expresses itself in ways that transcend earthly logic, that sometimes the breaking of what we treasure most creates the fragrance that blesses not just the moment, but memory itself. Let your mind drift now back into that perfumed room and notice how the fragrance has changed the very quality of the air. It's not just that the room smells beautiful, it's that beauty itself has become tangible, breathable, a presence that touches each person differently but touches everyone completely. The woman rises slowly from her kneeling position, her task complete, her gift given in full. There are traces of oil on her hands, remnants of the precious spikenard that catch the lamplight like liquid gold. Her hair, once loosened for service, now carries within its strands the lingering sweetness of her offering. She does not look for approval from the other guests, does not seek acknowledgement of her sacrifice, does not explain or justify her actions. There is a completeness about her, a settled peace that comes only to those who have given without reservation, loved without calculation, offered without expectation of return. The teacher's eyes follow her as she moves to rejoin the gathering, not as one who has made a spectacle of herself, but as one who has performed a sacred act and now returns to the simple fellowship of shared evening. In his gaze is such profound gratitude, not just for the perfume, not just for the service, but for the heart that made such giving possible. Wherever this story is told, his voice continues, soft but certain, what she has done will be remembered. And with these words, he elevates her act from a moment of personal devotion to her eternal testimony, a story that will travel beyond these walls, beyond this time, to touch hearts not yet born, to inspire generosity not yet imagined. Feel the power of that promise, that this woman's moment of beautiful extravagance will ripple forward through time, that her willingness to break what was precious will become a treasure shared across centuries, that her fragrant offering will continue to perfume the air wherever hearts hunger for examples of unrestricted love. The evening deepens around them, the oil lamps burn lower but somehow seem to cast an even warmer glow. The conversation gradually resumes, but it carries a different quality now, softer, more thoughtful, touched by the lingering presence of what they have witnessed. And the fragrance, oh, the fragrance continues. It has settled into the very stones of the house, absorbed into the wooden table, woven itself into the fabric of memory. Days from now, weeks from now, anyone entering this space will catch hints of it, traces of spikenard that speak of love made manifest, of beauty chosen over practicality, of hearts that dare to break open their most precious treasures. Let your awareness drift now, like fragrance itself, expanding beyond the bounds of that ancient room, and consider how this story lives still. In every act of generous love, in every moment when someone chooses to give more than seems reasonable, in every instance when beauty is chosen over logic, the alabaster jar breaks again, and the room fills again with the perfume of sacrificial devotion. Think of the times you have witnessed such giving, perhaps a friend who offered time they couldn't spare, a stranger who shared resources they needed themselves, a loved one who gave presence when absence would have been easier. In each of these moments, alabaster breaks, precious things are poured out, and fragrance fills the spaces between souls. And what of your own alabaster jars? What precious things do you carry, sealed away, protected, saved for some future moment that may never come? What perfumes of love, of kindness, of generous spirit wait within you, ready to bless but held back by fear, by calculation, by the worry that such giving might be misunderstood. Feel the gentle invitation in this story, not to give foolishly, but to give beautifully, not to waste, but to worship, not to empty yourself carelessly, but to pour yourself out with the same intentional devotion that marked this woman's offering. The night air beyond that ancient house carries the fragrance now, past olive groves where silver leaves whisper in the gentle breeze, past gardens where night-blooming flowers add their own perfume to the blessed air, past wells where water reflects stars like scattered diamonds on dark velvet. Other homes in the village begin to catch hints of it, this extraordinary scent that speaks of something sacred having occurred, something beautiful having been offered, something precious having been transformed from possession into gift. And in the morning, when the sun rises and the dew settles on stone and flower alike, traces of that fragrance will still linger, woven now into the eternal story of how love expresses itself when it holds nothing back. Let yourself settle deeper into rest now, feeling the warmth of this story surrounding you like the most gentle embrace. You are held by the same love that inspired such generous giving, you are seen by the same eyes that called one woman's extravagance beautiful, you are invited into the same grace that transforms breaking into blessing. Your own heart, with all its treasures, its fears, its carefully guarded perfumes of love, is seen and known and valued beyond measure. The alabaster jars you carry, whether filled with gifts you're afraid to share or wounds you're afraid to heal, are held in hands that understand both the preciousness of what you protect and the greater preciousness of what might flow when protection gives way to offering. Feel the fragrance of this story settling into your own soul now, like spikenard absorbed into willing stone, like perfume that becomes part of the very air you breathe. This scent of sacrificial love, of beauty chosen over practicality, of hearts that dare to break open, becomes part of you now. And as you carry this fragrance forward into sleep, into dreams, into tomorrow's awakening, know that you too are invited to break what needs breaking, to pour out what needs pouring, to offer what your heart knows is precious enough to give. The room where you rest tonight, like that ancient house, can become sacred space when love is offered without reservation. The air around you, like that perfumed atmosphere, can carry the sweetness of generous hearts and open souls. Rest now, and let the story continue to unfold within the quiet chambers of your heart. See how love, once released, refuses to be contained, how fragrance, once freed, travels on currents of air you cannot see but can only feel, how beauty, once offered, becomes eternal in ways that practical gifts never can. Your own alabaster moments await you, perhaps tomorrow, perhaps in dreams tonight, perhaps in ways you cannot yet imagine. But they await you, these opportunities to break what you treasure in order to release what you treasure even more, these chances to pour out perfume that will linger long after the vessel is forgotten, these invitations to love so generously that the very air becomes sacred with your offering. Sleep now, and let the fragrance of this story infuse your dreams. Let it carry you into rest as gentle as oil flowing over willing feet, as peaceful as hair loosened in service, as complete as a gift given without reservation or regret. Feel the weight of your body releasing into perfect rest, your muscles softening like wax warmed by gentle flame, your thoughts settling like fragrance absorbed into willing stone, your spirit opening like alabaster broken for the purpose of blessing. But for now, simply rest. Rest in the fragrance of this ancient story, rest in the warmth of love that calls all sincere offerings beautiful, rest in the gentle truth that you are precious, that what you have to give is precious, that the very act of generous love transforms both giver and receiver into something more beautiful than either was before. Sleep now, surrounded by the lingering sweetness of spikenard, held by the eternal promise that love offered freely never fades, comforted by the knowledge that somewhere, in the deepest places of divine memory, every act of generous love is treasured like perfume in an alabaster jar, precious, beautiful, eternal. The alabaster jar is broken, the perfume fills the air, and love, beautiful, extravagant, unreserved love becomes the atmosphere in which you rest. Sleep well, beloved soul, sleep in the fragrance of grace.